here I'm back, baby. Yeah, you didn't even know I was gone, did you? Well, I was kind of ish. I was kind of gone. I had to move. Yeah, well, I didn't have to move, but I did have to move because I moved. So it was a thing I did. Sometimes we do stuff. And and then I got my computer finally put together, and the internet finally set up, and all the things. And it's like, oh my! And there's still stuff to do. There's so many things to do. Change address, do this, do that. I don't know. Install this, put that in, put the TV back up. Get everything where I want it. Basically, get all these boxes into my room, so I don't have to deal with them. Just pretend like I'm going to deal with them. Stuff, things, stuff and things and things and stuff. Yeah. So what did I miss? I don't know. Looks like I missed people being wrong on the internet, and some this Christian dude that Aaron Ra responded to, and he responded to the skeptic instead because he doesn't want to talk to people in real time. Now on the skeptic, he said something like, atheists don't really say, I don't know, Sky Daddy or stuff like that, something like that. And he's like, oh yeah, they do, and he showed all the examples of people doing that. Well, yeah, atheists do call it the Sky Daddy, in comments. This is not to be taken seriously, I don't think. This is meant to be taken in jest. We're trying to make fun of it. And but typical theist doesn't get it, and I'm not. I don't need to defend the skeptic guy. He's got it, he'll do it, whatever. He's like, oh, I'm a little tiny creature. He's picking on me. I'm like, yeah, well, you put yourself out there, so people are gonna, they're gonna pick on you, and that's a good thing. It gets you more views. So welcome to the internet. If you didn't want people to tell you that you were wrong, don't make videos, I guess. But yeah, there's plenty of reasons to ask questions of that guy, anti-evolution stuff. Let's see. So I said I was going to go over some whoopsie, let me pause that. Some comments and respond to them. Various comments for various things. Here's a comment on this purported empirical evidence thing by Magnifico Giganticus. And I said, people can be wrong, people can lie. There's no proof of any miracles, and that's the problem. Because he was talking about, well, we have eyewitness testimony. We have people that said they saw stuff, and doesn't that count for evidence? And no, it doesn't. It's not evidence. It's not good enough. It really isn't. People are wrong. People can lie, and there just isn't proof of miracles. So here's his brilliant response to that. Let's see. Where does it go? Every time. Empirical evidence, evidence delivered from observation or experimentation. Yeah, I know what empirical evidence is. The Bible seems to be exactly that. No. I think there was a doubting Thomas who actually did what you would call a test. If you choose to disbelieve it, that's your prerogative. I don't. Why believe in a story? Not about choice, by the way. Doubting Thomas is a created character for that particular story. He only shows up that one time and in only one gospel, and nowhere else. He's never talked about before or after that. Why is that? Maybe he's a contrived character just for that one purpose. Let's see. here we go. Our Harvey Webb talk. He put up an edited version on his page, and I told him, he's welcome to do that. And the scientific spirituality person, which I looked at their channel. I don't know. They've got secular science of hell, secular science of miracles, magic, science of demonic possession, and don't believe in God for the wrong reasons. Wow. Maybe I'll cover those videos at some point. Anyways, he wrote, let's see if we can get this big enough to read on the screen here. D. Hi, Nerdy wrote it. Been a while. D. Yes, D. I don't think we should just put religion into the category of something we can't really know until we see what happens after this life ends. Well, look. Okay, well, we'll get to that, I guess. There are lots of people who have near-death experiences, where they see what the afterlife is like. There are also many truth claims that various religions make. If claims have been proven false or not completely accurate, that suggests religions are also false or inaccurate. I'm an atheist, new to your channel, by the way. So yeah, I agree with all the well, except for this part. Religion claims that there is something after you die, and they make this claim boldly as if they know for sure. I don't. I don't know what happens. I don't know if anything happens. It's maybe it's nothing. Maybe you're just, it was like before you were born. You weren't there. You didn't not know that you weren't there to not know that you weren't there. So it didn't bother you that you didn't exist. So is that like what it's going to be like? Then it's like nothing, because that's it. And you don't even know that you're not. So, I don't know. I guess that doesn't make people comfortable sometimes, but religion tends to bank on that fear of, not existing and make all sorts of claims. And yeah, look, if you're going to claim something, happens after, it's like, all right, I guess I'll find out, whatever. I'm not interested because you can't prove it. So if you can't prove it, why should I care? So anyways, so I talked about the near-death experience because that guy brought it up. There's lots of people that have near-death experiences. Well, kind of, but not really. And that's the problem with NDEs. There's lots of problems. First, there's bias reporting. We don't take in all the reports of people who almost die and nothing happens and then they come back. They where they don't say anything. That's like, we don't count that, right? It's not tracked. That's data that we should have, because that does count for something. If the majority of people are not having any experiences at all, that should tell us something. And then we should think that the exception to the fact is interesting, but maybe it's more likely that the nothing result is what we should expect rather than the non-nothing result. And perhaps the non-nothing result can be explained in other ways. It's important data to have. But here's where things go off rails after I explain stuff about, wanting evidence for NDEs and we'd also need to define what death is. We'd have to have decent, reporting methods of these things. We'd want to have recordings. There's all sorts of things we'd want to have that we just don't have for the NDE stuff. So what do we have, and metadata studies on it and things like this. And what we see when we do look at the metadata studies of NDE is we find that people tend to have religious experiences that are their religion or a religion that they know about. They don't ever have a religious experience of some other religion that they don't know anything about. That doesn't happen. So, and then we also have seen that, the light tunnel, that's something that fighter pilots can experience, people at high G experience, maybe even very powerful roller coaster, you could experience it. But, so we can replicate that phenomenon, so it's no longer mystical or magical, right? And that's the thing, is you're assuming that their experiences indication that really happened, rather than it's just something that they dreamed, right? How do you know it wasn't just a dream? That's a question worth asking. So, James Anderson Hart, we need to set up our talk now that I'm back. We can do that, maybe. I don't know. All right. So that's what I said, stuff like that. Scientific spirituality, who supposedly is an atheist, and we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I haven't looked at their videos, but we'll, maybe I'll do that at some point in time. But anyways, he doesn't have the time to address this, but he does want to say that the cases where people don't report seeing an afterlife is not particularly important. Isn't that interesting? Why would he say that? Because, yeah, it absolutely is. It's absolutely 100% important. If you're going to study NDEs, then you're going to need to include the fact that the majority of people have not had an NDE. You can't discount that. That is important data to have. If there's just one case that can't be explained by a materialist perspective, that means materialism is not the answer for explaining everything. Oh dear. Well, how would you ever know that materialistic explanation isn't the explanation? This comes towards the appeal to ignorance. I don't know what's going on here. We've run out of explanations that we know about. We've asked every scientist, every smart person on earth, whatever, and nobody has any idea. So we're going to throw up our arms and go, well, it must be magical. It must be a miracle. It must not be, must be non-physical. No, because we don't have any proof that non-physical, non-material, non-natural is even a thing that things can be. This is a category that we've created that we can't prove is a category. It's essentially a non-category in many ways. The spiritual realm, the supernatural, the mystical, the magical realm, whatever you want to call this, is a category that exists in our brains as an idea, but nothing more than that. And if you want to say that it is more, then you have to have a way to show that. And if you say, well, the definition of it is that you can't show that it's that, then it isn't a thing. The only thing it is a made-up idea. So if we didn't understand what it was, then we just don't understand what it is. And that doesn't mean that there isn't an explanation for it. It means we don't know what the explanation is. But that doesn't make it a supernatural. It doesn't make it a spiritual. It doesn't make it anything yet. Now, let's say we did figure it out. It's energy, and it's coming from some other thing. And we track that, and we see that it actually is interacting with this other dimension that we didn't know about. And now we've uncovered that, and we make a machine to explore that realm. And oh my word, this is the spiritual realm. And we could call it that. And now we have something to explore, but we would always call it natural. There's no need to call it supernatural. There's no need to call it, something. Maybe we would call it, spiritual. Maybe we'd have a different name for it. But we wouldn't need to call it not natural, because the natural is part of everything. That is everything that we know is natural. And if there was a God, then that too would be natural, because it'd be part of reality. And so the theist gets into this trap. Now, again, I'm not saying this guy's a theist, but broadly speaking, the theist can get into this, and even an atheist can do this too. This trap of thinking that God has to be this thing that people call supernatural because they're so used to this idea. It's like, why? If it exists, it exists naturally. It exists in some other realm that we don't understand. But once we did understand that realm, we wouldn't call it supernatural anymore. There'd be no need. Anyways, and so no, we would never have a case that couldn't be explained by materialism, as far as I can tell. And I said, of course it matters. Tossing it aside is not scientific at all. Also, the fallback of can't explain is an appeal to ignorance. So if I say, oh God, here we go. If I say that the evidence that X event can't be explained by a Y understanding of the world, that's an appeal to ignorance fallacy to you. No, it's not just to me. That is the appeal to ignorance fallacy. Yes, X can't be explained by Y. And no, and you're missing the part of therefore Z is true. But yes, that is the appeal to ignorance fallacy. Good job. Yes, that is what it is. You got it. Not including the cases where there's nothing interesting to report. It's not bad science. It's simply not focusing on what's not particularly useful. But you don't know that it's not particularly useful because it's data. And yes, you need to include that data. It matters. You're trying to figure out what happens when people die. Okay, so you have 100 people that come into this hospital and they've died on the operating table, and they've come back to life, and 1 out of the 100 people reported seeing something, and nobody else, and all the others said, no, I didn't see anything. And you're only going to focus on the one that saw something. Well, that's not good science. So yeah. Oh yeah, James in the mood to stream. Cool, yeah. Just let me know a time that you want to do that. If it's before I have to go zoom off to do a thing later at night, yeah, I can do it. But yeah, so I explained to him, it's not just to me. It is the fallacy in full. Identify a logical fallacy doesn't make it to me. See, I'm correcting him on his error of saying that this is my logic or my thing. It's like, no, this is just, it's like, if I said 1 + 1 is 2, he said, well, that's according to you. That's your mathematics. No, it's just mathematics. It's just... X event can't be explained by Y understanding of the world does not necessarily establish that the event is true or supernatural or paranormal or unexplainable. Only that the current understanding of the universe or our personal understanding of things doesn't account for X. So when you say that X is something else, that is, you have committed the fallacy because you don't know what it is, and that's where you should stop. And then I said, I don't know if in this version of the video if I explain this, but this is how I usually explain it. My front door opens without me opening it. I'd be shocked. I'd be scared. Assume somebody opened it because human is something I know can open doors. Like upon exploring, I see no trace of any human or animal or wind. The latch is tight. Having run out of ideas, can I make the claim that it goes to open my door? The answer should be no, by the way. Not including cases where there's nothing interesting to report. It's not bad science. It's simply not focusing on particularly useful. Actually, it would matter. It would be publication bias, which skews the scientific record. By overemphasizing positive or novel findings or ignoring null results, which are just as critical for understanding phenomena, testing hypotheses, and preventing false conclusions. Good science values all data. Even uninteresting findings contribute to the body of knowledge and help us avoid replication crises. I think you might want to study more on the scientific method. Why did I say that? Because it doesn't seem like he understood the scientific method. Now, what do you think his response will be? Do you think it will be a well-reasoned, like, hey, you're right, I got that wrong. I looked it up. Yeah, I should include those things. I was wrong about excluding those things. Do you think that he's going to do that? Does anyone think he's going to do that? I mean, that would be the rational thing to do, right? Yeah, no, we all, yeah, no, he's not going to do that. Come on. I understand the scientific method. Implying that I don't understand the scientific method is insulting. Perhaps I was wrong to expect more from you. Oh, it's so horrible. Oh, I insulted them. Get over yourself. Get whatever. If you wish to upset the law that all crows are black, this is the black swan fallacy, by the way. It's enough you prove one single crow to be white. Yes. A single example this disproves the rule that materialism is all there is would then disprove the assumption that materialism explains everything. You would never have that. That's the problem. This is the illusion that you're under, is that you think that there would ever be a thing that disproved materialism, but you could never disprove materialism because materialism is real. What you want to say is that there's something other than materialistic things. Well, how would you ever show that? How? There isn't a way. It always would be something. It would be energy. It would be some force. It would be gravity, magnetic. It would be radiation. It'd be something. Otherwise, you're talking about nothingness. And what are you speaking of? Non-material isn't a thing that is. And so you would never have a thing that isn't. Okay. If materialism was false, then materialism would be false. Yes, exactly. If materialism can't be considered to be proven wrong, even with rigorous evidence of a singular incident, then it can't be considered falsifiable. Well, materialism is the idea that everything is materialistic, right? Everything is material. Everything is made out of stuff. Now, you can get into philosophical quibbles, and I think people do, where they go, well, but ideas like the number 3, that's not really physical. And it's like, well, yeah, but also no. Like, it is, but it isn't. It is because all ideas are in our brain, and our brain definitely is physical. And but the 3 is this. It's not in your brain. No, it is in my brain. But I have 3 in my brain. Yes, you do. But if we didn't have brains, where would the 3 be? There wouldn't be a 3. So it depends upon our brains to be at all. So it definitely is physical in one sense. And if you want to say it's not physical in a different sense because whatever reasons, I mean, I can't stop people from doing that, but I don't agree with it. I think that it's an abstract object of the mind. It is an object of the mind, though. It's still in the brain. That is physical. So, people get tripped up with, say, the laws of logic. Well, what are they? They're metaphysical. What the hell does that mean? They're transcendent. What the hell does that mean? They have to be true. Even if there's no universe, there has to be logic. Yeah, I think so. Probably. Because reality requires something to be true about it. It has to at least be real. Otherwise, there isn't a reality, And no, it doesn't require the realtor. But so there'd be at least one logical law, like maybe paradox is not allowed. Okay. But where's that law written? Nowhere. It isn't written. It isn't like that thing. It's not, it's just when we say it's a law, what we're saying it's a description of how reality is. No paradox allowed. That's just how reality is. You know, well, you have to have a God to make that make sense. No, you don't. It's just how reality is. And you want to say, well, it's God's nature that God makes logic work. And so what you're doing, you're just saying, instead of saying reality is the way it is because that's just how it is. It's a tautology. It's just there's no paradox allowed. Why? Because that's how reality is. But why? Because you could do the same thing with God. It's like, why is it that God makes it so that there's no paradox allowed? Because that's God's nature. But why is it God's nature? Because that is God's nature. But why? There is no further why to it. It's just that's how it is. But you're adding a step if you include God. Whereas if you don't include God, well, then you're not adding a step. And I'm in favor of not adding steps. Yeah, all you have to do is prove mathematical Platonism. Yeah, right. Good luck with that. If something knocks your door off its hinges and through the interior wall of your house, you could not conclude that a ghost was responsible for it. You could only conclude that something very strong did it. Well, I don't even know that I could conclude that, you know. But he kind of understands my point, but he also misses my point. It's very weird. But let's say you do testing from the door and you could only be done from inside the room, and then you would conclude there was something inside the room, but it was very strong. But failing to see any material reason for the door to be torn off in such a way, you would have to logically search for a non-material answer. No, because you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know if there is no non-material answer. You don't know that because you have a limit of knowledge. And you know, you could search online, you could go call up universities and try to get a hold of scientists and somehow summon them, and you know, and it might be that nobody has any freaking clue what happened. And that's it. That's the terminus of that. It's not, well, then it must be some thing that we have no proof of. And that's the problem, is you can't go looking for something that you don't have proof that's even a thing to go looking for. That doesn't make any logical sense. So if we knew for a fact that ghosts were a thing, then that would be different. But we don't. So we can't go off looking for something that we have no proof of. And to say, well, I don't know, it seems like we ran out of answers, so therefore it has to be this other thing, is the essence of an appeal to ignorance. So, I'm rolling my virtual eyes at your mock offense. I'm attacking your ideas. Deal with it. You clearly do not understand the scientific method, in part since you didn't think setting aside null results is important. So yeah, just live with it, man. You know, deal with it. A single example proves the thing. How would we discover such an oddity? That's the problem when dealing with the idea of magic or some other realm of reality we have no proof of. We can't simply get rid of all possible explanations of the natural realm, because any discovery we made would in fact be in the natural realm once we discover it to be a thing in the first place. Capture a ghost. The ghost is no longer in the made-up category of supernatural. It's now a natural phenomenon that can be studied and understood. By the way, I didn't used to, kind of an off the cuff thing, I didn't used to hold these positions. I was more loose and free with the supernatural realm in the past. But after lots of reading and listening to people and whatever, I've kind of come to the conclusion that not that, and I've made videos about this in the past, like supernatural, even if it was a thing, you couldn't prove it, stuff like that. If you want the video link, let me know. Put it there. But at any rate, I now think that there is no such thing as a supernatural anything. That is my strong stance on that, because the category just isn't even a thing, and it is defined in a way that you can't prove that it's a thing. It's structured in a way that's like you can't ever find this realm through any investigation. You can't find it empirically. You can't test it. You can't this it. You can't that it. So it's like, well, how can you know that it's a thing? You can't even argue for it then, because there's no foundation to even establish it. You're trying to say this object of the mind that you've created is actually real in reality, in a different way than it should be. Like Jar Jar Binks, okay, from Star Wars, right? We all hate Jar Jar Binks. Maybe you don't. And if you don't, you're wrong. But we hate Jar Jar Binks. You know, he doesn't exist. It's not real, but you can see him, you can hear him, you can watch him do stupid stuff. But in the end, he doesn't really exist. And so what they're doing, they're saying, but there is a Jar Jar Binks reality. Oh, really? But you can't test it. You can't prove it. Well, how do you know it's there? Well, because this argument. What kind of how the hell would you make an argument for that? How could you ever establish that it was real if you have no way to investigate if it's real? The best you could do would be just to assert that it's real. Well, things need a cause, therefore Jar Jar Binks caused it. How do you know? How do you know that Jar Jar Binks is a thing? Well, what else explains it? How do you explain it? You know, and it's the same old, right? Isn't supernatural just another way of saying fictional? Yeah, I think so. I think it's like on maps back in the day, people would write "Here there be dragons" because they didn't know what was there, right? So I think that's what it is. It's a we don't know kind of category. It's a well, I've run out of categories, so I'm going to invent this category. But it's not. It is an invented category. That is my position. I didn't always used to hold that position, but you do now. Anyways, what you seem. I think I'm reading myself. Am I reading myself? Yes, I am. Just to make sure I was reading me. Okay. What you seem to be missing is we can't say the ghost is by getting rid of the natural ideas because we can't know if all the natural ideas that there are could in fact explain it, right? So we can't we can't run out of explanations in a sense because well we can, but what I'm saying is let's say we had 5 explanations and none of them fit. Well, that doesn't mean there isn't another explanation because you're saying there is, but you're saying the other explanation is something that we have no proof of. And I'm saying, how do you know that? Say, well, because we run out of the other 5. You know, you know, it's like it's behind door number 1 or door number 2. You open door number 1, nothing's there. You know, it's got to be behind door number 2. You open door number 2, wasn't there. Well, it has to be invisible. Wait, what? How do you know that it can be invisible in the first place? Well, because it has to be behind one of these doors, and it wasn't behind one of these doors. So it has to be invisible. Well, but when you open the door, see, there's still a behind the door that you didn't check. Oh, there it is. It was attached to the back of the door. Ah, see, I didn't think of that. Right. So your appeal to ignorance didn't solve the actual riddle. Oops. Yeah. Anyway, failing to see any materials in the blah blah blah. No, because I don't have proof of non-material. I also don't know if I've run out of possible explanations for the event. The only way to salvage your ideas or resort to appeal to ignorance, then your ideas need to be ones you are skeptical of. Then they complain about YouTube's broken system being broken because YouTube comments suck. I don't know why. This has been a thing. I don't know. They need to fix it. He got a standalone comment that I didn't find. Oh, well, that was the end of that talk. Let's see. There was some other thing that I wanted to talk about. Okay, this guy KNKN5. Oh, sorry, 5049. I don't know why I said sorry for hiccuping. It's kind of a weird thing to be sorry about. Let's see what's on their channel, shall we? Quran, Islam, Quran. Rich Jews, stop consuming your inheritance. Muhammad sells Quran. Errors in Quran. So I guess he's a Muslim. I guess. I mean, why didn't you say what your channel is about? What? How do I? What is your channel about? I don't know. Is it anti-Quran? Is it positive Quran? I don't know. The only thing I could think of to do
Right. So
watch this video and just leave this little comment where I said Islam, more like Islam. Oh, got him. I'm funny. I got him good. So I don't know who this is, and I don't know what they're about. Maybe I'll look at their video and do a video about it. I don't know. Anyways, so here's what they have to say. It's great. I love it. It's terrific. It's wonderful. You're gonna love what they say. I guarantee it. This will be worth it. Here we go. Old man. Oh man, really? I'm 46. Is that old? Is 46 old? I don't know. Whatever. It gives the impression as if you avoid logical fallacies, you get to the correct conclusion. Well, let's see. Let's see if that works. If in making an argument you avoid all logical fallacies, will you get to the correct conclusion? Well, you might, but you might not, because you might have some error. But if you're avoiding all the logical fallacies, both informal and formal, then I dare say you would probably get to the correct conclusion. So yeah, that seems, it's like if you're doing good mathematics, you'll get to the right answer. And if you avoid not doing bad math, then you'll never get to the wrong answer, right? Well, what? Huh? What? It's like, what are you even saying? I don't know. But since the time of Empiricus, we know that the result depends on what you put into your logic. What? Also, here we go. This is great. It's great. It's just great. I'm telling you. It's beautiful. And anyways, not all people capable to solve zebra puzzle, Einstein's riddle, and only correct way to evaluate logical expressions is Boolean algebra that nobody is going to use. Oh God. But thankfully, we can concentrate on Jesus, who fulfilled zero messianic prophecies, contradictions, and injustices from the Bible itself to disprove only a religious claim about flat Earth and second coming. Flat Earth? Man, that'd be cool. Maybe the Earth is fat. That'd be great. That's a great theory to try to propagate. The Earth is fat. It is round. It's actually obese. It's been eating too much and needs to go on a diet. Anyways, I agree that there's plenty of reasons we shouldn't believe in Jesus, but the rest of this is kind of nonsense. So the zebra puzzle is like so-and-so is in a house and they don't like this tea and blah, 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 and all this. It's a simple puzzle. It's not that hard. You just put it into the little box categories where everything fits and you can figure it out. The fact that some people can't figure it out doesn't negate logic. He doesn't seem to know what the hell I'm talking about because there's more than one type of logic, which is what he says here. Evaluate logical expressions as Boolean algebra. Well, no, that only applies for mathematics. I'm not talking about mathematical logic. I'm talking about informal logic. And so, no, it's not the only way to evaluate it. And also, nobody is going to use. Well, no, people do use it. So that's wrong too. Anyway, so I said old. Anyways, avoiding logical fallacies is important when doing informal logic. So I'm telling them it's informal logic that we're talking about here. If your argument sucks, go rewrite it and make it not suck. However, the conclusion might still be true, even if an argument sucks Bane in a jar, the worst sort of Bane. You can't know the conclusion is valid unless the form is valid and the premises are true, and avoid logical fallacies. Boolean algebra would apply to math, and perhaps formal logic might use it, but not informal logic. Now, do you think he's going to look up what informal logic is so he knows what we're talking about so we can have a decent back and forth discussion? And he's going to be like, oh, you're right when it comes to this. Do you think he's going to do... I'm not very familiar with your American informal logic. Oh, God. It's not American. It's not American. Oh, God. Let me rephrase. I got the impression that if we avoid fallacies, we're golden. It is incorrect. Because people aren't very good at operating with facts, even if you were, it would not be enough. Okay, so people may or may not be good at operating with facts. That's irrelevant to us using good logic. It's so weird that I encounter this. Every now and again, I'll encounter the person where it's like, well, not everybody understands informal logic, so what's the point in doing it? You don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But if your argument sucks, I don't care. So why should I believe you then? Well, I mean, because, Oh, okay, because your argument sucks, right? Okay, fix your argument. Oh, I don't want to. I mean, like, what about this thing? What about it? Have you proven that? No, because I'm not going to use logic. It's like, all right, you want to be lazy? I'm not going to do your work for you. If you don't want to do the work to prove that it's a thing, then I don't care. It's that easy. I said it's just informal logic. It has no country, but it does have a history. It started in the 1970s. If you avoid fallacies, you can make a coherent argument. If you don't, then you can't. It doesn't matter if people are good or bad. The logic still works. And understanding it is what I want people to do. There's plenty of books and videos about it. I did try explaining it in a few videos. But since no one interacted with the comments, I don't know if it did well or not. Hint, hint, people that listen to that videos. Whatever. Logic doesn't exist. People exist. Oh, God. Here we go. Lobsters don't exist, people. Yeah, logic doesn't exist anymore. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Logic doesn't exist. Yeah. It just doesn't. Okay. People work, and they work badly. I agree. I mean, I put no trust in your logical capabilities. You don't have to, because the system resolves itself. And you shouldn't too. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I also can't solve a zebra puzzle in my head. Well, that's a you problem, not a me problem. I'm still under the impression that you insist in memorizing lists of fallacies will lead a person to success. Well, it certainly wouldn't hurt. It reminds me of a teacher who thinks his subject is most important. Oh, you don't like learning. Okay. I'm standing in a position that only reliable message is to delegate logic to algorithm. Well, sometimes, but not always. It just depends on what you're doing. And evaluate results with empirical data, because since empirics, we know that logic isn't enough. Now, notice I've never claimed that logic alone is enough, but whatever. I said logic does exist. To imply otherwise would be illogical. I only know of logic of Aristotle, that's what I'm talking about, and Stoics. None of them said it is flying somewhere in the air. Yeah, that's not what we mean by exist. Okay. They put hard work into development of principles of rational thinking. Without the work, all you left with is after means connected. I don't know what he's talking about anymore. I can't stop you from insults. Whatever, dude. Get over yourself. It's just history. All these principles were born of frustration and hundreds of debates by trials and errors. Another important thing is word exists. It has meaning to act, according to Aristotle. Well, stop having sex with Aristotle. Who cares? I mean, he got it started, but then after that we improved it. Okay, that's not how we decide what is imaginary, what is real. Imaginary thing is just our things that do something. They exist. It is a separate topic when Adler were explaining Plato's ideas for simple people. Like, what? And that's how you determine real things. Since then, you or see a ghost. You're trying to interact it, move it, touch it. You call it. If it gets no effect, it is imaginary. The fuck? So, in his understanding, logic is imaginary, I guess. No, it's an object. It's an abstract concept of the mind, and it is absolutely real. I guess we could call it imaginary. We could call it made up. But I don't know. It just seems wrong to say that. It doesn't seem quite right to me. Anyways, I said that's nice, but logic is real. It exists as an abstract object of the mind. See, I knew what I was going to say. But it's still a thing. It's made up, sure, but the formulas still work, like mass. Wasn't an insult. If you feel insulted with that, welcome to the internet. Well, people will insult you for real, so be ready for that. Right. If you want me to insult you, trust me. If you think that was an insult, oh boy, baby, strap in. You want me to insult you for real? You, you don't. If you thought that me saying you didn't understand science was an insult, that's not an insult, man. That's an observation. But if you want an insult, I can come up with an insult that would devastate you. So don't try me, man. Just saying, don't try me, because I'll do it. And I'll do it real good. Anyways. So, keep learning. It's always a good thing to do, because, I'm done at this point. I don't want to keep talking. He keeps talking. All right. You just have tendency to use words you don't know. Exist, real, object, thing. I'll skip the word salad. Good. They have the same nature as, what the fuck, juror laws or etiquette to hold a knife and write, and logic. Language itself falls in the same category. Yes, natural language is a problem. Same as math doesn't exist. Yes, it does. Math definitely exists. Math is also such a set of rules we agree upon, and it exists. It's real. It's not an illusion. These are rules we design. Results, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, then that's something, I don't know. The rules doesn't work. Yeah, they do. The rules do work. To say the rules doesn't work is stupid. Of course they work. The rules of logic work. I can't help this person. They're gone. They're done. People work instead. What? But you said earlier people don't work very well. So which is it? Do people work or not work? They follow some patterns to achieve similar results. But a zebra puzzle, she's obsessed with the zebra puzzle. Average person is incapable to follow such rules. I don't care. It doesn't negate that logic still works. Rules of logic are imaginary, and you violate them without even knowing that. You can't violate something that's imaginary. Either they are real or they aren't real. By not real, we mean they don't have any bearing on reality. I mean, I guess we're at crossroads with definitions at this point, but no, it's real. It does work. It actually. I see your approach of memorizing. He still thinks I'm memorizing fallacies as a dangerous one, because it gives false confidence in one's logicness. So look, if you know what the logical fallacies are, then that might bring confidence. It might not. I don't know. So people lie about Jesus, whatever. Anyways, yeah, I said, yeah, I don't know what words are. You got me. Yeah, I just use them. I don't know what they are. Are words real? Do they even exist? Is anything real? I used to think lobsters existed, but now I'm not so sure anymore. Yes, zebra might confuse you very much, but that doesn't matter. Logic still works. Another argument from Professor American Logic. And I said, no such thing. It's just logic. So then that was it. So that's what I wanted to talk about, I guess. Those are the comments that I wanted to talk about and make fun of and not understand what the hell's going on, because people don't understand reality or something, I guess. And natural language is still an asshole and is still causing problems everywhere it goes. There is no American logic. It's just logic. If you're not familiar with it, become familiar with it. If you don't think it works, find out why it does work, and then you'll see that it works. And yeah, so I don't know. I guess that's it for now. I don't know what else is going on in the world. Did anything interesting happen that I missed? No, nothing. All right, cool. Who's the president now? Whatever. I don't care. All right, guys, girls, robots, and whatever else you want to be or are not. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being a thing. By the way, okay, so I moved, and so it's more expensive here. So I don't know, but I might maybe have to do Patreon. I don't want to. I really don't. I don't like asking for money, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll see how it goes, but I might have to. So I don't know what I'll do for it. I don't know. I but letting you all know, I might have to, for bills and stuff, because I. Anyways, hopefully not, because I'd rather do this because I enjoy it, not as a living. So, but we'll see. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be skeptical, and after that, stay skeptical. All right, and logic does exist, and yeah, that's the thing. See ya.